Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on the Fanofa Street. We are on Go TV channel 125, DSTV channel 421, and DDT because we're free to air. Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, coalition of individual bondholders groups suspend planned protests to demand payment of delayed coupons and principals. Also, former police officer and MP warns any attempt to remove IGP Dampare to enable efforts to rig the 2024 election will be fiercely resisted. We have details as he says there's a leaked tape in circulation with a purported plot to remove the IGP. Meanwhile, minority in parliament is expected to boycott sitting yet again as Dachikwesin goes to court. Plus, we'll be bringing you a special feature on reasons some expectant mothers are lately opting for their babies to have their babies via cesarean section other than normal or vaginal delivery. We have business, sports, world news, and showbiz coming up this hour. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with the coalition of individual bondholders groups who have suspended their planned picketing at the Finance Ministry. This was disclosed by the convener, Senyor Hosi. The suspension follows a press statement from the Finance Ministry reassuring bondholders that it will meet all its obligations as stipulated in the Memorandum of Understanding signed on May 16 between government and the coalition. Let's take a look at that statement shortly coming up on your screens. They said the government of Ghana and the coalition of individual bondholders group CIBG, comprising members of the Individual Bondholders Forum and the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, on 16th May reached an agreement regarding the government's outstanding domestic debt service obligations. The agreement was captured in an MOU dated 16th May 2023. By the terms of the MOU, the government undertook to pay all arrears on coupons of bonds maturing by 31st May 2023, as well as coupons falling due from 1st June 2023. The Ministry of Finance hereby announces that it has made good its promise and settled all outstanding coupons and principal payments up until 19 June 2023. Instructions have also been sent for payment of coupons falling due up until 10th July 2023. The government reassures all bondholders of continuing and constructive engagement with the leadership of the CIBG, as well as government's commitment to the implementation of the terms of the MOU. And the ministry takes this opportunity to thank all bondholders for the continuous support during this period of tight liquidity. Government is confident that in working with all stakeholders, we shall restore macroeconomic stability, achieve inclusive economic growth, and transform the Republic. And that's from the Ministry of Finance. Now, the coalition had announced its decision to picket following their dissatisfaction with the government's lack of action concerning the payment of their coupons and principals. According to the coalition, payment of some bonds has been in default for over 100 days, and it has been over 50 days since agreeing on terms captured in the MOU, with no implementation undertaken nor official communication on the way forward. My colleague James Aveji has been on this beat for quite a while now, and he's been telling us more.
First, let's establish this particular group wanting to picket. So the confusion has always been, who are these bondholders? Are they the same as those who have already been to the Finance Ministry? So the coalition is actually a merge of two different groups. That is the Individual Bondholders Forum and the individual led by Senyo Hosi, and then the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. Those two have come together to form the coalition of Individual Bondholders Association, and so that is different from the Pensioner Bondholders Association. So for them, the engagement with government, you know, initially when this domestic debt exchange program started, where the bonds will be touched, they actually decided to engage government on the way forward, and then the pensioners decided to picket to demand for their bond, and so they started some engagement with government. Along the line, they have constituted a committee. Government has constituted a committee led by the bondholders themselves, Senyo Hosi, and other leaders of the group, to arrive or to design a roadmap between themselves and government, which government would use to start payment of their coupons and their principals. That was finished and handed over to government, and government signed on to that on the 16th of May, a few days shy of 2 months. And so the hope was that since this was concluded, government would have started honoring that roadmap that was designed, only for us to realize recently that government has not honored those agreements in that roadmap. And so that's exactly what happened. So as it stands, until payment have started, government owed them. Some coupons have matured over 100 days. Other principals have also matured. The same situation as the pensioner bondholders. And so that's the situation they were in before yesterday, when government said that it has started honoring.
Well, the bondholders who entrusted their savings with the government expressed frustration with the situation, describing the government's conduct as condescending, insensitive, and disrespectful to its own citizens. Senyo Hosi is convener of the Coalition of Individual Bondholders Groups.
On social action this morning, for us, we were intent on really overwhelming the entire Ministry of Finance space, which is responsible for the non-payment of the bonds due. The thousands of members that we have over 340,000 members as of date. There are so many lives at stake, so many lives affected, and it's responsible on the part of policy operatives to really promote and protect the interests of these people whose only crime so far has been to trust their government. An act that we found totally unacceptable, especially when we've been at the table negotiating, structuring, coming up with ideas on how government will manage this. And for government to really throw one in our face as it did was totally unacceptable. We had engagements yesterday following our indicated picketing, and government took some steps, and we must recognize the effort made by government. On the back of that, and also in pursuit of social stability and peace, we have opted to take a step down on our picketing. What we wanted were the monies. The funds have so far been executed per the statement that was made. We can confirm receipt of a number of the payments that have been listed out there. Our independent checks have also confirmed that the others have been duly processed, and that gives us adequate comfort. The commitment by government to honor its obligations on the MOU has also been restated. This gives us enough comfort for now. But this is a suspension, and government and everybody should be minded. Our patience and our cooperation should not be taken for granted. These are lives at stake. These are not people who just represent the statistics on the books of operatives in the Ministry of Finance. We would advise the schedule soon. It definitely won't be today. We expect a few more accounts to be credited, and then we'll actually take a position on it.
Member of Parliament for Ho Central, Benjamin Podo, has visited and commiserated with constituents affected by Saturday's flood in the Volta regional capital of Ho. He promised to collaborate with the Assembly to provide solutions to the identified causes of the perennial flooding in the area. There's more in this report.
Residents in Ho experienced the biggest flood in about a decade during a 3-hour rains on Saturday. The areas affected were Bankwe, Akpenamau, Ajimakope, Polyclinic, Medical Village, Powerhouse, and Donokoji, among others. The flood destroyed and washed away goods after making its way into shops at Bankwe Civic Center, the central business district of Ho. A textile dealer said she lost products worth billions of Ghana cedis.
Gake me wunu vo afinu ya jo tami la sito trodo wo ake ko ya mi gale tude na Yesu kele kwa mi atugodo pedan to pede mi mi lovo pete avo yo ke mi te npo a amedo egbe kra medo ga kode o cover amedo ko ebe yo ma cover amedo le cover tami la gbagba je pedan to so le vava le oyan na mi kode o ko ide landry ho yo benu nyape o aha ta mi la gbaje mi akpora be e ka anyo no hia mi akọ edo akọche no hia e ka o mi ato wọn po gadon ajira enu ehe gbele yan maton cost yo mi la gbaje mi akpora ga ke me no gboron die me there is billions of cedis because agba Ghana cedi meye gavio agba no koma me e hosele kura ta mi to get video le for my uniform e go be no pay as home especially printers uniform o mi general nurse o.
The Member of Parliament for Ho Central, Benjamin Toobu, visited her and other victims. He assured of working with the National Disaster Management Organization to lend its support to the victims.
This thing that has happened is completely unusual. It's unusual. For more than 10 years, we've not had this level of heavy downpour to cause such disaster. So we need to get it right when we are going to correct it. So we'll start with the assembly, see how we can raise funds to correct or to expand some of the bridges, some of the gutters, so that we can create waterway. First of all, there is the need to desilt the existing drains that we have. So when that is done, then we can expect that more money will be found later on to do expansion and reconstruction of the drains. NADMO is responsible for disaster management. So from here, I'm seeing the MCE. We have to impress upon NADMO to assist the victims of this unfortunate disaster.
It is the prayers of residents in Ho that authorities would rectify the identified causes of the perennial floods to ensure the safety of life and property. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ho.
Well, given a global perspective on recent incidents recorded across the globe with Ghana in mind, Acting Director of the Climate Change Unit at the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Emmanuel Tichiobin, blamed the situation on global warming, which has impacted the rainfall patterns heavily. He's been prescribing solutions to be adopted at the national level.
It is not in our country alone, it's global. It is changes that are happening in the climate, which is actually affecting or causing this flood. Currently, what is happening is that there is something we call climate change, changes in rainfall patterns and changes in temperature. The temperature has increased, a phenomenon we call global warming. And this global warming has affected rainfall patterns. If you say it has affected rainfall patterns, what we mean here is the atmosphere is warm now because of some of our activities that we are doing, emissions that we send to the atmosphere over the years. So the atmosphere is warm. And you know rainfall comes as a result of air masses going into the atmosphere and condense, cool, and fall as rain. And because the atmosphere is warm, the rain doesn't come as it used to be In Ghana, what we know is in March, the rainfall starts in southern Ghana, continues up to June, and then it declines as we go towards the end of the year. But currently, it is not like that. The global warming has affected the patterns of the rainfall in our country and globally. And it is now difficult even to know when the next rains are coming. And one significant thing which has resulted into the flood is what we call in climate change extreme events. Because the rain condense in its not normal way, the rain can come very heavy. We call it extreme events, short or heavy, long. And as you mentioned, if the rain comes heavy for a long time or heavy for a short time, coupled with our human issues, that is spoken of floods and other things, then it results in floods.
Former police officer and member of Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, Peter Toobu, says any efforts to remove IGP Dr. Dampare to enable the NPP rig the 2024 election will be fiercely resisted. Peter Toobu warned such action could seriously put the Fourth Republic at peril. A leaked secret tape has revealed plot to remove current IGP George Dampare from office. A leaked secret tape, which also does not identify any person by name, but the people involved include a top police officer and a member of the NPP. Speaking to Joy News, Peter Toobu asked the IGP to stay focused. Let's get more from Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante, who has joined us. Kweku, Peter Toobu doubts the authenticity of the tape. Tell us more.
So according to Peter Lantini Toobu, first makes the point that there may really truly be a plot to remove the IGP, Dr. George Dampare, and if that was to happen, and the NPP believes that that is their sure way of winning the 2024 election, this will not be countenanced by the NDC, and that in fact, if anybody is to do this, the Fourth Republic is going to be at peril. And so he makes that question. But of course, he has concerns that some of the comments supposed to have been made by a certain senior police officer are too damning. And he believes that for a person of the rank of a senior police officer, that person should have a lot of discretion and not be saying those things on tape. So he believes that this may have been AI generated, but gives room for the fact that this might have actually happened, and there may be a plot to remove the IGP. He says that the president can appoint and disappoint, but if the president does not come out with any reasonable excuse to remove the IGP, it could lead to real suspicion about the government's plot ahead of the 2024 election. But they are serving that notice that if that were to happen, 2024, the NDC will also not take that line down. They will resist any attempt to rig the election, and that will mean that the Fourth Republic will be at peril because both sides will do what they have to do to defend their electoral rights.
Let me have you hold Kweku Asante, because Parliament also today is expected to boycott sitting, the minority actually in Parliament. Yet again, as MP for Asino James Jachikwesin's criminal trial continues, and Accra High Court is expected to rule on an application for stay of proceedings filed by lawyers of the MP. The MP is expected to be in court, and the caucus have served notice it will not participate in proceedings whenever their colleague is in court. Kweku Asante, let's look at first whether sitting has started and whether the minority MPs are participating.
So yes, sitting started about 30 to 45 minutes ago. The second deputy speaker actually came in to preside. But of course, the minority are still carrying out this threat to boycott sittings. There was no NDC MP of the floor. Of course, I've seen a number of them around. I've just spoken to Peter Lantini Toobu. They are within the precincts of Parliament, a few of them, but they have not gone to the floor of the House to do business. And so when sitting started about 11:30, 11:45, there were about 15 to 20 NPP MPs who are on the floor for business to go on. That is ordinarily not the required number, but if nobody is on the floor to raise an issue of quorum, then the House will normally disregard that and go ahead. Since then, we've heard from the NPP MP for Abokankwe Central, who has been saying that, well, the NDC reserve the right to do that, but if they do that, that is their political right to do so. They believe that some sort of conclusion should come very soon so that the NDC MPs can actually always be on the floor for business to take place. So, like you see in your shots, there's not a single NDC MP who has attended to the floor today to do business.
What kind of business is the House considering today, and will this boycott affect it, Kweku?
So first, there were questions mainly standing in the name of NDC MPs. These questions will now have to be moved. They have to be rescheduled to another day. And there was this cannabis law, the Narcotics Control Commission Act 1019, which the Supreme Court struck out Section 43 for debate. That last week, government is set to reintroduce that section back into the bill, and it was actually taken last week. Today, we expected that that bill would have been taken by both members of the House. And at the time the bill was called, the chairman, Kwame Anyimedu, was not on the floor. The ranking was not on the floor. Kennedy Japan, the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee, was also not around. And so the House has taken a suspension to await that these leadership will come in for that urgent business to be taken. But the NDC minority said they will not come. It is not expected ordinarily that whether or not these NDC MPs are on the floor, it will affect the business in terms of this Narcotics Control Commission Act 1019. Because if the committee chairman comes on the floor, lays the report, there can be debate among the majority MPs who are on the floor, and it can be moved forward. But the NDC MPs say they will not come until these trials that they call persecution against their MP colleagues stops.
Kwagwasante is our parliamentary correspondent. Expect more in our subsequent bulletins from Parliament. Now, from Parliament, let's go to court, where the case of Gyakye Quayson is being heard. My colleague Kojo Nyako is there for us. Kojo, what transpired in court? Bring us up to speed. All right, we'll try and get Kwejo Nyako on the line to tell us more on what is happening in court as far as the Asin North MP Gyakye Quayson is concerned. Let's go to Upper East, where 362 pupils have to use only 62 classroom dual desks. That was a situation at the Zwarungu Primary School in the Bogatanga East District of the Upper East region, a situation which resulted in the poor academic performance of the children and the dwindling population of the school, actually. Now, help has come with the Silas Amwa Foundation donating 60 dual desks to the Zwarungu Primary School to help reduce the furniture deficit in that school. Now, we'll bring you that story from Albert Sorry, but let's go back to court and get some updates on the Gyakye Quayson case. My colleague Kwejo Nyako has now joined us. Kwejo Nyako, paints a picture of what has happened in court today.
So the place is not as about 5 minutes ago, because the members of parliament, those from the minority side, have left the court. In fact, the court was filled to the rafters, but they all filtered through the gates of the court and then exited once the case was done. Now the judge has given her ruling and has refused the stay of proceedings filed by lawyers for James Gyakye Quayson. The lawyer indicated that there were no exceptional circumstances to warrant her to stay the proceedings pending the appeal before the Court of Appeal. Now, the lawyers for James Gyakye Quayson say that they are disappointed, but they are going to repeat the application. However, the adjournment has been done to the 14th of July, so they are back in court and they are going to begin the case. Meanwhile, lawyers for James Gyakye Quayson said that they needed an adjournment for them to concentrate on the matter that is before the Court of Appeal, but the judge said that the matter has been adjourned to the 14th and they needed to be here. The Attorney General feels that they have been vindicated by the steps they have taken and they are back in court, and they further indicate that should they appeal, they will also challenge the appeal in court. So that is what has been happening in court at the moment.
Yeah, the Kwejo our correspondent in court, bringing us updates on the James Dachi case, which has been adjourned to 14th of July. Let's talk about health right now, because the decision to deliver a baby through cesarean section or opt for a vaginal delivery is a significant choice for expectant mothers. While vaginal delivery is a natural and most common method of childbirth, an increasing number of women are opting for cesarean section nowadays. My colleague Karen Obing explores some of the reasons some individuals choose cesarean sections over vaginal delivery.
A baby is delivered through cesarean section. The mother is relieved. She had endured long hours of labor, and finally, the doctor decided to remove the baby surgically. A gynecologist at the Rich Hospital, Dr. Richard Apiankroma, explains why many women are choosing cesarean section over vaginal delivery.
Technology has made CS, to be very frank, very, very simple. But it is not as simple as it is, because just like any other surgery, it has complications. So we counsel them thoroughly. We let them know that these are the risks involved, and we assess them, and then we let them know that, Madam A, I think, or we think that you are fit for a vaginal delivery. But we also let them know that if you do need a CS with monitoring, we will just go in quickly. The key thing is when you counsel them, and then such patients, you just need to monitor them closely. It's the close monitoring that we need to prevent unnecessary CS. Some of them just need close monitoring, and they'll deliver beautifully. That is what we need in Ghana. And monitoring goes with staff and equipment and so many things, and that's what we are lacking. So people don't want to go through that stress of, when you go to this place, they don't have so many money. So doctor, just do CS for me, and then let me be free, and then people to go. You can do it in less than an hour. It depends also on the condition. For example, if a patient comes with a fetal distress, where a baby is literally dying, you have to go in, you have to be very fast. So you can do that surgery within 30 minutes, but averagely I would just say like an hour. If you take your time, an hour, you should be done. The emergencies keep coming. It really gets tough in the night, so you have to, sometimes from 8 going, you can do like 6 before the next morning, because people refer late. That's where people refer. So people go to their antenatal clinic at peripheral facilities, and then after seeing them, they'll refer them to come. So by the time they get here, some from very far places, by the time they get here, it's like 8, 9. And then we have those who we are seeing, the labor will set in at dawn, and they will come in and they realize that no, there's a problem.
Cesarean section was dangerous when it started in the 1500s in Switzerland, when one Jacob Neuffer performed it on his wife. But over the years, regional anesthesia, including spinal and epidural anesthesia, have also been developed and become popular methods of relieving pain and improving outcomes after cesarean section. The World Health Organization recommends that cesarean section be performed only when medically necessary. But many women in Ghana opt for cesarean section as an elective. Some mothers say they fear vaginal tear and hence opt for the procedure.
For me, in my opinion, I chose it because I feel it's the simplest way to, go through the labor pains and all that. The thought of you being cut, open and all that, I didn't want that. I didn't want to go through the trauma of, cutting my skin. So I felt like, let me just put myself to sleep, and then voila, they are done with it.
So I chose to do an elective CS because I think I had some fears about doing the natural labor. I have heard many stories from friends, from family, of how women have had to endure severe pain without any form of pain management during labor, and really I wanted to avoid that experience. Apart from the fact that you would endure pain, you might have some unplanned tears and all that, and really I didn't want that experience.
But this is just one reason some women will consider cesarean section. Others want surgical removal of their babies because they believe spontaneous vaginal delivery loosens the vaginal wall. It is one of the reasons all manner of concoctions and creams are available on the market to help women tighten their vaginal walls. But an obstetrician at LMS Hospital, Dr. Paddy Ayete, says it is only a myth. On using concoctions to firm the vaginal wall, he cautions against it. Dr. Paddy Ayete is advising women to be open-minded about childbirth methods and engage medical professionals to help them choose the best method to protect their lives as well as that of their children. The moral of the story: when in doubt, consult a doctor. Karen Obing's report read to you.
We're still live on Joy News today. We are coming to you from Kokom Limley, where our studios is on the Fanofa Street. We'll take a break. When we return, there's more in business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Expect the cedi to remain relatively stable on the forex market this week. Now, a positive mid-year budget review this month and a successful first evaluation of the International Monetary Fund program could set the tone for the local currency's trajectory in the second half of this year. Here's more.
The cedi lost marginal grounds against the dollar and the other major foreign currencies last week. It's lost 0.21% in value to the American greenback. This was as a result of poor forex liquidity and increased dollar demand pressures. The Bank of Ghana provided no support on the spot market. However, the expected $20 million in bi-weekly forex support to bulk oil distributors will cushion the cedi against volatility. Together with a successful first review of the IMF program and a promising mid-year budget review, investor confidence is expected to be boosted, all things being equal. This will reduce the pressure on the dollar and other major foreign currencies.
Now, Ghana is seeking to account for biodiversity losses, climate change-related costs, and other environmental factors in its conventional gross domestic product estimation. Well, the current standard GDP does not account for whether the level of income created in the country is sustainable or not, which is where the concept of green GDP comes in. Now, an assistant chief statistician at the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Benisewa Ufosu-Badu, says it is time the country intensify efforts at compiling such data.
Gross domestic product takes into account the cost of environmental degradation and climate events. This allows the cost of natural resource depletion and environmental degradation to be subtracted from gross domestic product. Speaking on the sidelines of a national sensitization forum on green GDP organized in Koforidua in the Eastern region, Dr. Ufosu-Badu says the move will help provide detailed statistics for better management of natural resources that contribute to the economic development of the country.
Environmentally adjusted GDP. That is to say, GDP is compiled on annual basis as well as quarterly basis. So before you can arrive at or estimate green GDP, you need to take away all the environmental losses, the environmental degradation, depletion, among others. But not just that, just negating the environmental losses and the degradation, the depletion. It comes with the compilation of a lot of what we call SIA accounts or natural capital accounting. SIA is the system of environmental economic accounting, which has been adopted by the UN, and it is mandatory for all countries to start compiling it.
The forum, organized by the Ghana Statistical Services with support from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, brought together stakeholders from the regional statistical services Environmental Protection Agency, agriculture officers, CSOs, among others. Principal Environmental Officer with the Environmental Protection Agency, Kwame Boachi-Fredua, says the forum will help expand the understanding of the concept of the green GDP with these stakeholders to enable them internalize it in their activities.
It's essential that we do this because generating national macroeconomic indicators is not something that one institution does. If you talk to Ghana Statistical Service, through their system or setup, they'll tell you how even data is collected, analyzed, and all of that requires that there is that multi-faceted approach in terms of stakeholders and all of that. So today it's just to bring them up to speed. One of the things too that we shared today was to try to get that buy-in from their perspective so they can internalize what we've shared with them in their work, because there's no use collecting data and providing an analysis if that data just sits in a report and is put somewhere.
On the spot, a climate change expert with the Food and Agriculture Organization, Matthias Edeto, stated that Ghana, like many other economies worldwide, have shown progress in a resolve to build capacity to implement the system of environmental and economic accounting to better manage its economy. Kofi Sian reporting for Joy News. Koforidia.
And that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo. Bakadara will be here at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. There's more after this break.
Thank you for staying with us on the news. I'm Gary Al Smith, and this is The Sport. In our first story, we are still reviewing the happenings at the GFA Ordinary Congress in Kumasi. Keto Kruk, who was speaking about unity, he spoke also about the need to ensure that Ghana football is the winner at the end. He has been the subject of a FIFA petition against him in particular. Now, the petition, among other things, has accused him of a conflict of interest, of cronyism, of nepotism, of appointing his friends and family into key positions at the Ghana Football Association. And FIFA have confirmed that they have received the petition and that they may act on it. Meanwhile, the sports minister, Mustafa Usif, has been speaking as well. He spoke at the Ordinary Congress in Kumasi, where, among other things, he charged players of the various national teams to show commitment. He argues that the government has been doing its bit to pay all outstanding bonuses, salaries, traveling fees, and every other expense that's needed for the national teams. However, the patriotism they expect to see and the people of Ghana expect to see has been lacking.
The management of our national team is a solemn responsibility entrusted to the Ghana Football Association. This trust comes with obligation to account to the people of Ghana. For our stewardship, transparency is in all transactions, memorandums of understanding, sponsorship packages, agreements entered into both foreign and local is paramount. The national team will continue to receive support from the states, and it is our duty to ensure that all resources are fully accounted for, satisfying the expectation of Ghanaians, and it's also the responsibility of the players and the technical team to exhibit the spirit of nationalism and patriotism whenever they get the opportunity to represent our country. Mr. President, let me just add that in all the effort the FA is making to develop the grassroots football, let me hasten to add that we should include in our development process the spirit of nationalism and patriotism among our players. because I find it very, very, very difficult to comprehend or understand that the states will make all the resources available by making sure that we want to give opportunity to our national team.
More stories on myjoyonline.com, and we'll be back at 2. Nathaniel Atto will be here for Sports Today, taking you through the biggest stories trending throughout the day. I'm Gary L. Smith. Next, it's entertainment.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News. Joy Prime's latest edition of culinary extravaganza Big Chef Tertiary on Sunday saw another thrilling episode. Contestants were asked to create recipes with ingredients found in a mystery basket put together by the judges. Here are highlights.
Task for the day, you are going to prepare a unique, crunchy meal for us today. Are we okay?
Yes, chef.
So you have exactly 5 minutes. Your time starts now. What sauce is this? Pumpkin sauce. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Good job, guys. Stop! Hands up! Step back! Dampare Technical University, present your food.
We use the potato to make it in a form of banku, which is mixed with the potato, a little of sugar, and that's of a cereal.
I like what you did with the tilapia, your fish you have here, with the flakes we gave to you. Okay, that is very good, and keep it up.
Pan-seared fish fillets. We have sautéed vegetables. We have keloid mushroom sauce, and we have fondant potatoes and squash.
Whole Technical University, present your food.
We have Siriano, the series mixed with mango and apple to make a fine smoothie. And then we have poisson ozo.
This is what I'm talking about. This is
Thank you, chef.
fusion.
Thank you, chef.
It's working.
Thank you, chef.
I love this.
Thank you, chef.
Okay. The star school of the day goes to Whole Technical University.
Give it to them.
Give it to them. They did well.
Come.
On that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today. There's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
Lady in Black, that's how we wrap up the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.